Hey everybody, I'm your host, Ray Goots of the Goots' Wrestling Pod. 1993 is over. We're now in 1994, Daddy. And it's time to rumble. Time for the
What
Royal
a,
Rumble.
what a year it's been, 1993. It was
Good riddance.
not as good as you're right. It wasn't as good as as previous years. But hopefully 94 starts off with a good foot with the Royal Rumble.
I actually, so you know, I'm not a fan of this era. I thought this was as good of a show that 1994's roster could put on.
So wait, you said which years you said 93 it starts to what? That's bad.
I didn't watch from 93 to 98.
So 93 to 98. That's 93, 4, 5,
At
6.
this point, I'm
That's
embarrassed that I watched.
6 years worth of bad wrestling.
But I mean, I watched a lot of this on VHS and DVD, you know, in the after 98, but like in January 94, I'm like embarrassed that I ever liked wrestling.
I see. Okay. So 93 was the start. And to be fair to 93, while it wasn't the best, it also wasn't like terrible either. Right.
I was watching some 2008 ECW. There's definitely we're gonna hit some worse years that I like watched like a fucking idiot in the future.
Okay.
But
I agree with you. 90, this Royal Rumble, it's not terrible. I
I
got to admit, it's
thought
not
it was
terrible.
a really well done show. And I was surprised how much I actually liked.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. Royal Rumble 1994, 30 participants in your living room.
So you must
Were
say,
the other ones were the other ones not like pay-per-view? Why is it now all of a sudden in your living room?
I think he's toying with the idea. You know, I also kind of think, you know, they asked Bruce Pritchard sometimes like, "Oh, were you guys worried about Hogan going to WCW?" They're like, "Oh no, we didn't worry." I guarantee they're shitting their pants right now. And I
Oh, of
said,
course.
yeah,
That's a bull-faced lie if you say
yeah,
something like
yeah. That's the thing. If Hogan, like, let's say, like, my friend goes, "Oh my God, Hogan won the '94 Royal Rumble," right?
that. Mhm.
I would have started watching the next day. Him going to WCW just was not enough for me. Like he had to be in WWE, and like that's the thing. It's like um, I think without Hogan, they're struggling to figure out a way to get people like us back. And I don't know. It is a shitty poster. People will see it on the thumbnail. I think the poster kind of sucks for this.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Royal Rumble 1994 takes place January 22nd, 1994 in Providence, Rhode Island. 14 uh 1400 I'm sorry, 14,500 people in attendance. It's going to have 200,000 buys. For comparison, Royal Rumble 1992 had 260 thousand buys. Royal Rumble 1993, the previous year, had 300,000 buys. So it is out of 1992, 394 is the lowest so far.
You know, the product was ice cold. Both products, as far as I'm concerned, and but you wouldn't tell this crowd. Listen, the people that did show up were happy to be there.
Well, yeah, what I'm talking about is pay-per-view buys. It
No,
dropped
no,
a
I know because
hundred
the product
thousand
was
buys.
cold. Nobody cared.
Yeah,
Nobody cared about
yeah.
that.
But yeah, it's 14,000 people plus in attendance. So it is a hot crowd. Um, what do you call it? Vince McMahon Jr. welcomes us alone at first, and he runs all down the card, and then Ted DiBiase, the Million Dollar Man, joins him on commentary, and I don't know, for some reason he shits on John Madden for some
Oh,
reason.
well, John Madden at that point signed the biggest deal in NFL history, $8 million a year to be the commentator. For comparison's sakes, the highest paid football player was making $4 million a year. So he
Okay,
doubled it to just sit in the booth and be fat with his belly
wow.
willow. So it was a big controversy. So, you know, Dan DiBiase referenced that to like kind of be modern and hip.
Now, speaking of Ted DiBiase on commentary, is he gonna do a lot more commentary, or is this the only pay-per-view he's doing
The
it?
only one he ever does.
Only one he ever does. What did you think overall?
You know, I remember thinking he sucked, and then I watched it today. I thought he did okay. I mean, again, he's not ever gonna come back, but he just does enough to get the plot across. He doesn't really add anything, but he doesn't take away. He just does okay.
Yeah, there are some pockets where he's actually really, really quiet, right?
Because he doesn't know what he's
Um,
doing.
yeah, he's all right. I think to be fair though, this is his like first time doing it,
And it's on
right?
live TV. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I think like if you allowed him to do commentary, let him grow a bit more, he would have gotten better. But on a first try, it's just like it is what it is, right?
The other, your character's supposed to be cocky and arrogant, and you are sitting next to your ultimate boss.
Hmm.
And there's probably this fear that if I completely fuck this up, he's gonna fire me when the show's up.
Yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
So like, it's not like I guarantee there were times where Vince was like punching his leg, like and with a note like say this, say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just, you know what I mean?
sure.
Like you fucking idiot, say this. But I don't know why I thought he was worse. Like I remember people saying he was awful. I don't know. I mean, I thought he was pretty good. I don't know. I mean,
He
it wasn't the best. It was the best.
in the beginning, he's very quiet. Like you
Yeah.
can, he has pockets where he's just like it's just Vince McMahon Jr. doing it by himself. But he really starts coming out of his shell around the
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get right into it. The first match is Tatanka, Native American Tatanka versus Bam Bam Bigelow. And Vince Jr. tells us that it was supposed to actually be Ludwig Borga, but he has an ankle injury. So he's
Also, he
like,
has a clan rally that he has to attend.
yeah, he had a clan rally because he has to attend to with the SS tattoo that's on his ankle that got injured. Anyways, right away, Bam Bam Bigelow tries a splash from behind when Tatanka's not looking, but Tatanka's able to duck it, and then he takes the fight right to Bam Bam. It's back and forth for a bit. Tatanka hits a sunset flip and tries to pull Bigelow down, but for a cover. But after like Bigelow starts teetering, he decides to just sit right down hard on Tatanka's chest, which puts him now in control of this match. This is where, like I said, this is the first match, so DiBiase is very quiet. You're only really gonna hear um like Junior speaking, and it's just he's just very quiet. Bam Bam Bigelow, which is weird because like he has like I don't know, never mind, forget. I'm not even gonna get into it.
I mean, it's hard.
Bigelow,
It's hard to stay in character for 3 hours. Remember,
yes,
he's
yes,
not really the $1 million man. You know,
no,
he's like
yeah.
some religious idiot. So like, it's hard
Well,
to
at
like.
this point, he's not. At this point, he's not.
No,
He's
but I mean, like, he's not. I think he's more like
he's
a.
not really rich. Yeah, he's not even a
I
millionaire.
think he's more like a down home guy. Like he's more like a Texas guy or something. Like I don't think he's like. So I think it's hard to like stay in that character for 3 hours. Like it's easy when it's like a 5 minute promo and then the camera cuts. And you just be like, let's go
Yeah,
fuck some hookers. I don't know. That's not. You know what I'm saying? Like you
yeah.
have to be in this very specific. Imagine if the Undertaker had to do commentary as the Undertaker for 3 hours.
That'll be so
Never be
funny.
himself.
Every match, you would say "Rest in peace" at the end.
Yeah. Like because also if you break the character too much, people are gonna be like, oh, he's no longer I don't know what the fuck this guy's doing. He doesn't like the Undertaker now. You know, this is like
Yeah. So there's a point in this match where Tonka's getting beat on, so he tries to start doing his Ultimate Warrior rain dance comeback, and Bam Bam Bigelow just cuts him off, and then he does his own version of the rain dance, which gets boos. I love that spot. That was a fun
that was
spot.
funny.
Unfortunately, Bam Bam Bigelow, he just gets a little overconfident, and he goes up for the top rope, decides to do the moonsault, and he misses, just like Vader did at the previous Starcade. This allowed Tatanka to hit his own top rope move. He hits a top rope crossbody for the win, which gets a huge pop from the crowd. I thought this is a fun way to start the show. What did you think?
Good opener, and you know what? For Tatanka, I gotta say the audience Tatanka and the company dodged a bullet because for number one, the match would have been 20 times worse than Ludwig Borga. Number two, Ludwig Borga probably would have won.
Very good. Good
And,
point.
and
Good
number
point.
three, yeah, it would have been a worse show. Like, there's no way that Ludwig versus Tonka would have been any good. So, it's addition by subtraction. Everyone dodged the bullet. They got a great Bam Bam. It was a fun opener, and man, I'm so glad Ludwig Borg is now gone. We're never gonna see him again, ever.
I would say you say what you want about Vince McMahon Jr., but he knows how to start the pay-per-views always like hot. Like almost
Yeah,
all the time. Yeah.
yeah.
Almost all the time.
This was a hot start. I thought.
Like, yeah, you just give the crowd what they want, like this is kind of fun. Um, Vince Jr. he recaps the situation between the Hearts and the Quebecers, starting with Survivor Series, and Vince Jr. interviewing Owen Hart, where Owen challenges Bret to a fight, and then Vince Jr. talking to Bret in response, and Bret saying, "No, I'm not gonna fight my brother." I remember this, and then the promo where they say they're gonna go for the tag team titles as a unit, and then they show you the recap on Raw where Marty Jannetty and 1-2-3 Kid they win the titles off the Quebecers, but then a week later the Quebecers win it back, and then Todd Pettengill he is with the Hart brothers, and Bret says Owen is the best at high flying. I'm the best at technical wrestling. We're gonna win the titles, and then we're gonna give everybody a shot. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I actually, when Owen challenged Bret to a match, and like Bret saying like I'm not gonna fight my brother, I legit thought this was real because like the way it's so solemn, the way like like back then wrestling promos were like the guy screaming for like
Mhm.
half the promo. This one, Owen just like, dude, why does he always have to do this? Why does he have to do that? Like he's always trying to like hot spot. I'm sick of living in shadow. I'm gonna challenge him to a fight. Like I thought this was real. I don't know about you. Did you?
I didn't see this. I didn't see any of these promos until after 1998.
Oh, okay, so that's different. I did see it when it
Look, rewatching it now, I think Brett and Owen are doing a terrific job. Owen is really stepping up his mic game like never before. But back then, bro, I didn't give a shit. They were like, "Oh, Owen Hart." I was like, "You fucking chased out Hulk Hogan, and you're pushing the blue, and you're making the blue blazer a main character. Like, who gives a fuck?" Like, it almost felt like we want you to never watch again. Like everything I heard was like, why are you doing this? Watching it looks great, but you're not enticing me to watch. You know what I'm saying? You're doing all the wrong. I mean, if you think about it, if they didn't push Owen, he'd still be alive. So maybe this was the wrong move. But
um,
he does do a
no,
great
I
job.
think I don't know, like
I don't know.
yeah,
You
yeah,
just
I don't
buried
know.
him.
That's a good point. Yeah, but I will say this, man. When I watched this, I was 10, and I thought this was like maybe real because I'm 10 years
I
old. Remember, and wrestling's not as exposed as it was back
look
then.
look Owen is like better on the mic than 90% of the people today. Like, but the coolest thing about Owen is that it happens overnight.
Yeah,
It really
it is
does.
true. Yeah, it does.
It like they tell him we're doing this angle, and he steps up like never before. And even he does a subtle little thing to Brett's chin when they're like, "I'm glad we didn't fight. I don't want to know who's better." And he does this little thing, and you
Yeah,
like, there's all these little hints of like, "I'm not done with you, Brett. You're still a piece of
yeah.
shit."
It is great. Good point. So we're gonna go right into match number 2. It is for the tag team titles. The champions, the Quebecers, they come out with Johnny Polo, who will go on to become Raven, versus the Hart brothers, Brett and Owen. DiBiase talks over Howard Finkel and he calls the Hart brothers the Brett brothers. I was like, that's classic.
Mhm. Brett brothers.
Yeah, he calls them the Brett brothers. Um, Brett and Pierre of the Quebecers they start, and then Brett tags in Owen right away, and both the Hart brothers are just way too much for Pierre. Jacques gets in with Owen, and things get a bit sloppy between Jacques and Owen. They don't have the best chemistry.
Mhm.
There's a point where all of them are in the ring at once, and but the Hart brothers end up standing tall as the Quebecers have to go outside and regroup. Back in, the Quebecers start working over Brett, including choking him as fans start chanting, "Go, Brett, go!" The heat's on Brett, and the fans are firmly behind him. Owen hot tags in, and then he cleans up, but he can't get the submission victory, and he tags Brett back in, who works on both of the Quebecers while with the ref not really forcing anybody back in the ring. It's just, whatever. You can say what you want about today's wrestling, about how like in the AEW referees like just allow both men to be in the ring at the same time, but this shit was happening even back then. So
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
really a big complaint. When Brett runs the ropes though, Johnny Polo causes Brett to fall off the ring, and Brett starts clutching his left knee like he landed on his knee. And the Quebecers they just start working on it. They drop they just start dropping like stuff on his knees. They kick him a whole bunch, and Brett's like struggling to get up. And Jock even uses a chair both the chair and the golf club on Brett's knee. So it's like they're like saying his knees gonna we're focusing or his knees gonna be fucked up. Owen comes over to ringside to help and he rolls Brett back into the ring. But he's still not getting up. He's just like laying on the ground, clutching his knee. Brett somehow tries to get the sharpshooter on. And as he's doing this, this is where DiBiase actually starts coming alive on commentary. He starts going like, Brett is selfish. Why is he not tagging Owen in? And then while he's doing the sharpshooter, Brett he just collapses, and the referee, who's Tim White, he just calls for the bell. Even though there was no submission, he just calls for the bell, and Owen comes into the ring, and he's pissed off. He's arguing with the referee. Why'd you ring the bell? Why'd you ring the bell? The match isn't over. Nobody submitted, and ref's like, no, it's ref stoppage. Brett's done. He's done. He can't get up. And DiBiase starts questioning why Brett just tag out his brother, and that he's always just trying to hog the limelight. As Owen starts arguing with Brett, as Brett starts to get up, Owen just goes to his side and he kicks Brett's leg out.
From under his leg.
Yeah. Kicks over his leg, under his leg. He kicks his leg on under his leg. And as Owen walks away, he starts arguing his points to the camera. He starts going like, Brett, you're selfish. You should have just tagged me. This was my only shot. All you had to do was tag me, Brett, but you didn't do it. The officials, they come out and they start surrounding Brett. Ray Rougeau, Jacques' brother, actually, who is a commentator, he goes on, he gets a microphone, he tries to get a word in on with Brett, and Pat Patterson's like sending him away. He goes, there's no time for these questions, and sends him away.
Pat Patterson was good here.
What?
Pat Patterson was good. Like
exactly, yes.
His acting was really good, Pat Patterson.
Todd Pettengill, who's in the back, and he's with Owen Hart in the back. And Owen starts screaming Brett being selfish. And this interview is being aired on the Titantron, which is like a small Tron, as Brett is actually being like hobbling on the aisle. So you can see it. Brett can see this. And the rant ends with the classic, and that's why I kicked your leg out of your leg. What did you think about this whole match, this angle?
Number one, I thought this was the best match on the show. I thought everything was logical. I thought that Owen, there's two ways to look at what Owen did. You can look at it like he was frustrated and did it, or you can look at it he's a scumbag, but there's plausible deniability on both sides. I thought, Brett makes one mistake. Instead of like running to the corner, he tries to put the sharpshooter on and he costs everybody the match. He gets a little bit too full of himself, but I don't think he did it maliciously. But you can see why Owen would be annoyed by that. I thought it was a phenomenal match. I thought it was great. But here's the other great thing, and this is why, I can say all I said about this is why eventually Vince gets me back, and I'm still fucking here. It's what he does with the Titantron. It's with the big screen. I guess it's not a Titantron yet. The big screen with Owen and Brett. The way they frame that, we have not seen that yet in wrestling. It's so like cinematic, and it makes sense. Like Owen's in the back, but he's taunting Brett, and the camera shot of Brett. Brett can't get to him. You know what I mean? This guy can talk all the shit he wants, and Brett can't even do that thing where I'm gonna go run and get him because he's somewhere in the building. But he's on this big screen, and he's looming over Brett, and Brett is like so small, and he's screaming at Brett. And it's just a production thought that no one has done yet in wrestling. I know like now it's like whatever, but like no one has done that yet when we get to 94. And that type of forward thinking is why eventually they get us all back.
Yeah, very good point. What is that? You're right. It's not a Titantron. What's it? The Minitron.
It's like a big screen. I guess we just call it a big screen. But like, I didn't realize. I remembered it like, well, Brett gets carried away, and then Owens in the back says the promo, and then they just move on. I didn't realize like Brett can see the promo, and like that is like, it's just such a small thing.
He can't do anything because he's hurt. He just got to listen to this while he's looking back. Yeah,
and Owen is like delivering, and also it's like you've made this guy who we've all seen as this jobber midget. Now suddenly he's looming bigger than anyone in the world, and he's like becoming a bigger and bigger star. Like Vince now wants you to think of Owen. You're not thinking of this guy anymore as a jobber. He's now a big deal, and the way they frame it, it's like this guy has just became a big deal. Not to me because I wasn't watching, but if you're watching, it's like, oh shit, now this guy's a threat. And I thought it was really well done. I guarantee you, if Vince never thought of this, WCW would have never. WCW could be in business today. They still wouldn't have done something like this.
This is how I know you didn't watch it at the time, but this is how big this was for me. I did not have cable. I didn't have. I'd never ordered a pay per view because my family just didn't have the money for it. I somehow was able to get to watch their steel cage match
Mm-hmm.
somehow when I
Okay.
was a kid. Like I didn't
Broke
even.
somebody's
I don't
house.
even remember how I got to the point. I think I might have met over somebody's house, and somebody was like had all the I don't know the videotapes or had the pay per view or something like that. I think it was the videotape or something. And but there was only enough time to watch like one match, and
Mhm.
I specifically asked for that steel cage match.
You know what? You know what's interesting about Vince, and I don't think Tony Khan or anyone can do this. It's like if you put Vince in a situation like Hogan's gone, Warrior's gone, Jake the Snake's gone, Beefcake's gone, Andre's dead, and you look around like, who do I have left? I need to make Owen Hart a big star. I've literally trained the audience to think Owen Hart's a fucking idiot, right? But now
Mhm.
I have to make him. He is very good at within 30 seconds, that guy's now the man. When he wants to be, when the options are limited, he doesn't just fold or go, I got to sign somebody. If his options are Owen Hart and Coco Beware are going to be my top heels, they're the top fucking heels, and he makes you believe it. And I think that's a lesson that Tony Khan, TNA, NWA can learn from. It's like, you're never just stuck with shit. In your mind, in the fans' mind, you're stuck with shit. But you have to convince me that EC3 and fucking John Silver can take over the world. You have to convince me as the promoter. And Vince is very good. Look, he's very good at that because the way he transforms, and it takes two to tango. Owen's got to deliver. But the way he transforms Owen when he's got no options left, I thought it was great.
He does a very good job at building stars, 100%.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of stars, we're going to go into our match number 3. It is for the Intercontinental title. IRS comes out first, and he calls everybody in Rhode Island a tax cheat. But we do get one of the biggest stars at the time in WWF, Razor Ramon, the champion.
Woo!
In this match, it is actually being called by Jim Ross and Gorilla Monsoon.
The radio.
Um, yes, Razor Ramon. He starts by throwing his toothpick right at IRS, who slaps him, but then he's got to pay for it. IRS throws Razor over the top rope to the floor and then rams into the steps to regain control of this match. After a long beatdown period, Razor Ramon regains some offense, but IRS reverses an Irish rip with for the ref bump. IRS gets the briefcase when the ref is down. That's his metal steel briefcase. But before he can use it, Razor grabs it and uses it on IRS instead. And the referee is still out, so he doesn't see any of this. As Razor Ramon gets IRS ready for the Razor's Edge finishing move, Jim Ross says, nobody gets up from the Razor's Edge, not even Razor Ramon. I was like, what?
Yeah, who hit with the razor edge? Okay.
Yeah, that was so stupid. Nobody gets up on the Razor's Edge, not even Razor Ramon. But while he's getting ready for the Razor's Edge, Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, he runs down and he nails Razor Ramon with the Intercontinental title, and everybody is down. The referee is down, IRS is down, Razor Ramon is down, and IRS he starts crawling up and he makes a cover on Razor Ramon. But Earl Hebner, and he makes the cover and he actually gets the pin, but Earl Hebner runs down and he reverses the call. And IRS is celebrating. He thinks he won. He's getting up on the buckles and he's celebrating. But Earl argues with the referee who made the count. And this allows Razor to grab IRS while he's on the buckles and hits the Razor's Edge on for the victory. Afterwards, Razor Ramon celebrates holding up both Intercontinental titles. What did you think about match number 3?
I thought it was good. It wasn't like the greatest, but it's a nice like chill the fuck out match before we get to the two crazy main events. But also what I liked about this, every match except for Tatanka and Bam Bam forwards a storyline and sets up something for WrestleMania. And this one too continues the Razor Shawn Michaels saga. So yeah, I thought it was fine. What did you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think you framed it perfectly.
Mhm.
So after this match, we get Paul Bear. He's in Undertaker's workshop, and he talks about Yokozuna's casket as you see Undertaker working on it, and you get a whole bunch of like it's like clips of all the
And
videos they made leading up to
Yoko just being
this.
scared over and over again.
Yeah, you see there's parts where Taker's saying "Merry Christmas" to Yokozuna, and he's like "Ho ho ho." We get more videos of Taker making the casket, and oh, Yokozuna looking scared every time. I thought these were done very well by them.
You
Everyone's
know,
doing their role very well.
I really wish we got Yokozuna to be like who he really was, like his real self, before he died. Because I feel like he probably was a really funny guy. I don't know. He was like making me laugh with his facial expressions, and everyone says he was like the best dude ever. I wish he got to be like. I wish he was like a manager in the Bloodline, cutting like real promos now. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it was good because like Yokozuna up to this point, he's always got that stoic face, not
Mhm.
showing any emotion. So when he's like all of a sudden scared, and he's also built up like a huge monster, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden now he's scared. You know, what would be the equivalent of? It would be like if Gunter started being really scared of
Oh,
like,
the internet would have a fucking meltdown going through with scary.
yeah, but because
But it would be
Gunter
funny. It'd be great. He would be great at it. Yeah.
exactly, because Gunther's always stoic and he's like this unbeatable monster, and that's kind of like what Yoko is. He's making great facial expressions. Taker's doing very well. I thought Paul Bear was great too because he's cutting majority of the promos, right? Paul
Yeah.
Bear, he's doing great. It ends with Jim Cornette cutting a promo
Even Jim
on
Cornette's good in
Undertaker.
this too.
Yeah, but he's cutting a promo with Stan Lane. Sweet Stan Lane is there holding the microphone, which I thought was kind of cool.
Mhm.
And Taker, he last scene is Taker scaring Yokozuna out of the ring. It's going to lead to match number 4. It is for the WWF title. It is a casket match. Yokozuna, champion, comes out with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette. And out comes Paul Bear pushing out a giant casket built for Yokozuna with Undertaker coming from behind, looking like a freaking shadow because it's so dark. I didn't even know he was there. And I thought it was like, whoa, holy crap. It was great visual. Taker drops Yokozuna in this match right away with a flying clothesline. And Yokozuna falls out the ring and walks right into the ring post. And he tries to fight back and he takes Undertaker and slams him to the steps, but Taker no sells it and chases Yokozuna back in the ring. They fight back out the ring and Taker hits Yokozuna with a chair on the back and the head. And Vince Jr. tells us this is a no disqualification match, so all those chair shots don't mean anything.
Oh,
They
good.
are allowed, which was very good. That was very good that they did that. Yokozuna, he throws salt in Undertaker's eyes, and he starts beating on him with the chair, and he rolls Taker into the casket. But Taker is able to fight back with the weakest looking choke slam on Yokozuna back in the ring. Remember, you have to get in the casket and close the lid.
Close the lid.
Taker hits a huge DDT and he starts rolling Yokozuna into the casket. And Yokozuna is in the casket, knocked out. But as he goes to close the lid, Crush attacks Undertaker. Crush fights Undertaker in the ring, but he's no match for Undertaker. But all of a sudden, Kabuki and Tenru, who are assassins sent from Mr. Fuji, they run in, and then they all both go down. Then Bam Bam Bigelow runs down. Now the numbers game is just too much for even the Undertaker himself. Mr. Fuji gets the urn from Paul Bear as he showed Paul Bear going, "Where's?" Which I thought was kind of funny. Paul Bear fights off Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette and gets the urn back, and Taker starts fighting back. Adam Bomb joins the fray, but Taker beats on everyone, including him, with the salt bucket. Bam, 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 salt bucket everywhere. Jeff Jarrett jumps in out of nowhere, but he jumps right into a bucket shot. The head shrinkers come down and they double super kick Undertaker.
Bloodlines united.
Yeah, and he finally goes down. But Taker gets back up and he fights them all off again. But then Diesel joins. And now the numbers game is just way too much. They roll Undertaker into the casket, but Taker reopens the lid and he fights back again. This guy won't go down.
Mhm.
Yokozuna is finally like had enough. He goes and he steals the urn from Paul Bear, and then he hits Undertaker with it. But then he drops the urn, and this greenish smoke starts coming out of the urn. And Vince says, "It looks like the power of the urn is leaving." When I'm a
How
kid, I'm
come the
thinking.
power didn't leave when Hulk Hogan dropped it?
So you saw this when you were like, it was like 1988, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because what like I was still following wrestling at this point, like the recap shows and all that, and it this to me visually it was cool,
Um,
as
I never had a problem with this. So this was known as WrestleCrap for years, and
yes,
this
of course, it's
was
stuff people don't like this stuff.
people. Oh, I mean, when I got back into wrestling, the consistent internet, this was the worst Rumble of all time because of this match, and like it ruined wrestling, and it's horrendous, and I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, this did not what ruins wrestling is Battle Bulls and fucking Abdul the Butcher getting Abdul the Butcher. This isn't. This is. I don't know. What do you think of this match before I get into what I say?
So this is why before we started doing these pay-per-view recaps, we were watching like current day stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we were doing podcasts on current day stuff. And do you remember we talked about this? We said we as adults, we are not into the Bray Wyatt stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? With the Fiend. But I'm guaranteeing you, young kids who are like 10, 9, 11 years old, they love that shit. They eat it up with a spoon, right?
Yeah.
And like the what was it, Alexa Bliss with that stupid doll and shit like that,
The
right?
problem.
And I know they did because I have a friend who has two little boys and
Yeah.
they like legit love it. And I'm assuming the Undertaker stuff is like the same thing because at the time, remember, I'm 10 and I fucking believe this shit. But meanwhile, someone like Meltzer, he's probably in his like late 20s at this point. No
He's in
one,
his
of
30s.
course, he's gonna hate. Yeah, 30s. He's gonna shit on
Here's my thing. Well, here's the
it.
difference between the Bray Wyatt shit and this shit. Bray Wyatt shit led to nothing. I mean, and I know it's fucked up to say because the guy got sick and died, but it led to nothing. This is the difference. This leads to two matches on pay per view. This leads to Undertaker versus Undertaker and Undertaker versus Yokozuna at Survivor Series. Now, whether you like those matches or not, that's irrelevant. This leads though to two matches. It builds a story for two main events. And the Undertaker. So Undertaker has to go away for a while, right? So you explain like he was injured. I think he asked time off to have his first child. So Undertaker gets to go away for a while. He gets his vacation. We have a compelling reason to want him to come back. And then when he comes back, he has a storyline for the rest of the year. So to me, this isn't that dumb because you're building to future matches.
Okay. I
Yeah,
think
Bray Wyatt stuff doesn't lead to anything. And I mean, again,
I
maybe
mean, it leads to like stuff like WrestleMania matches and stuff.
but then when Alexa Bliss turned on him, and that led to nothing.
Granted, but I guess my point is trying to say is there's a large group of people
Yeah.
who don't like any supernatural stuff in wrestling, and I get it.
But
I
it
get
led.
it.
But to me, I don't mind it if it leads to like a match. And there's two matches after this that are regular matches. So like, I'm fine with it. Like you need to have Undertaker go away for a while. What would they prefer? Yokozuna just beats him clean, and then he gets put away in the ambulance.
I see what you're saying, and I don't mind it as well, but for a different reason. I don't mind it
Mm-hmm.
because I know, especially in WWE, a lot of this stuff is for the kid,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
And
And
you were a kid and you liked the belt.
if you're an adult and you're just like talking about how bad it is, it's like you're an adult and you're going to watch like, I don't know, Zootopia 4 and you're talking about like shitting on like, oh, the story makes no sense and Ice Age. You're like, it's for fucking kids, bro. Like you gotta relax as an adult, Like that's what I think, honestly.
I think to me, more offensive to me as a fan and more like wasting them is like those battle bowl matches are more offensive to me than this. Like that
Yeah,
to me is just you're wasting my time. You
yeah,
have
yeah.
something in store for me. If I go on this ride with you with Undertaker, you have something in store for me. This
At least this is more entertaining.
yeah, and it's like different. It's
More
like
entertaining.
also I mean, and also like to be honest with you, if Undertaker did just lose and that was it, and then he goes away for a little bit, comes back, it kind of takes away the guy's mystique. Like you can't have him lose. He has to go away. He can't win, but he can't like lose clean yet. It's not time yet.
I will say this though, not all of this was great because even when I was a kid, the Undertaker versus Undertaker was really tough.
Oh,
Like
that's a
I
horrible
don't,
match. But my
yeah,
point is, they're not booking it like we're gonna have a shitty match that's gonna waste everyone's time, like Battle Bowl is, or Abdullah the Butcher matches,
Yeah,
right?
no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
They're hoping I think they were kind of hoping that this other guy would catch on, Undertaker too. He didn't, but that's what they're hoping. Yeah.
So after the urn falls and the power of the urn starts leaving in a smoke form, everyone, all the heels start hitting Undertaker with flying attacks, one at a time. They and just boom, boom. Jeff Jarrett hits him. The head trickers hit them, and they roll Undertaker into the coffin. And the three Samoans, Yokozuna and the head shrinkers, they give him the last rites. I like that they were those. It was only the three relatives.
The bloodline.
And Yokozuna just kicks Undertaker into the casket, and Bam Bam Bigelow closes the lid. Crush gets this lock, and he just locks it, and then Yokozuna just directs all the heels, "Hey, go, go!" And he starts pushing the casket down the aisle. When suddenly, while Yokozuna's music's playing, it stops playing, and you hear a gong, and everybody stops.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you don't like this hokey, spooky crap. That's cool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Green mist starts coming out from the bottom of the casket. And let me tell you something. You're an adult and you thought this was stupid. Me as a 10-year-old kid, I was so amazed by this. I was like really creeped out, right? The lights go out, and then you see Undertaker in the casket on the big screen. It's like a shot from inside the casket.
Mm-hmm.
And Undertaker, like, he's dead, but then he turns his head and he faces the camera. And then he starts giving this shitty promo about the spirit of the Undertaker lives on in the fans. And I'm like, you know what? The Ultimate Warrior would have done a better job with this kind of promo, right? Because this is his wheelhouse. But anyways, Undertaker dies.
It goes to heaven.
He dies, yeah. And he starts getting electrocuted, and his essence leaves the Tron. Like, you see his body float up from the Tron, and it goes out. And once again, I was like about 10 years old, and I legit thought this was real.
Mm-hmm.
You might say that you're a stupid kid, but keep in mind, there's no internet. Wrestling is still like, is it real? Is it fake kind of like situation? Because we didn't all see that news thing with Vince Jr. Now, I was 10, I wasn't watching the news. And I thought this was maybe real.
I'm not watching the news. They're great.
Yeah, and I was going like, if this is fake, how did they do that? How did he leave the screen like that?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like an adult and you're shitting on this, talking about how stupid it is, you're basically an adult making fun of Sneak for Kids. So just that. I mean, you saw this that you said like. By the way, it ends with Paul Bearer. He gets the urn back and he puts it on top of the casket and pushes it out. You said you saw this like in 1998, 1999, which is like you're already like way into teens. What did you think?
At the time I didn't mind it. I don't really I first read about this on the internet in 98, 99, right? And the
Wait,
internet,
you didn't hear about this in 1993 and
some
1994?
some kids mention it, and it sounded dumb. It just literally everything they described about everything going on in WWE sounded unwatchable to me. Like everything, like
You didn't even want to watch it. You didn't even watch
no,
it.
nothing, none of this sounded
Crazy.
interesting.
That's crazy. To me.
Owen, the co-winners of the Rumble, it sounded atrocious. Like not knowing, I'm like, is there any hint that Hogan will be at 10? No, I don't give a shit. Was Macho
But
Man
you
the
heard
Macho
that
Man make it to the Final
Undertaker-
Four? No.
Yeah, but at this point, you know that Undertaker's this like unbeatable monster. And
Yeah,
hearing
he
about him
didn't
going in the
do it for me.
coffin,
None of
hearing
these
about him going in the coffin and dying didn't interest you at all.
none of it, no, because what
That's
interested
crazy.
me was once you take out Hulk Hogan, none of this interests me. I
Wow.
was not ready for you to reject Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
There's nothing you can do to get me to watch at this point. Except
How old are you at 10? At that,
I was 13. I just turned 13. Also, I was getting older. So I don't know how you were in school, but when I turned 13, they kind of beat in your head that you're an adult now. Like you're not a kid anymore. And I started reading books more, and I like stopped watching a lot of cartoons. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm an adult now. Like did they beat that into your head at 13?
No, I mean, I remember hearing about this, and I remember I didn't watch this live. Someone told me, Undertaker died, and I was like, what? I was just like, what? No. He goes, yeah, Yokozuna, like they beat him and they put him in the casket, and he died, and I was like, no way. And then when I watched it, I was like, holy shit! I was like, legit, like, oh my god. I can't believe this happened. And I was so annoyed. I remember feeling annoyed. Even now, when I'm watching that, I felt annoyed. This guy just did Survivor Series. We had a whole fucking team of people. How come none of them came out? Right? Like, I was like, Taker just made friends. Like he made friends like a couple of months ago. Why didn't nobody help him? It's so stupid. I remember thinking
You
like that
know,
was the only part that I thought
that
was
was one of
legit.
the biggest faults in WWE. Vince never had the baby faces help each other. Baby until the baby faces didn't start helping each other until like last year. Well, you know what I mean? Like baby faces, like the heels could be beating the shit
The
out of
heels
so
always help each other, by the way.
what?
The heels always help each other, by
Yeah,
the way.
and yeah, like you could, yeah. It's just it's just the never made it. This was the first year, like when all the faces walk out at 40 and like help out Cody against the Bloodlines. The first time the babyface like we should just help each other out because that's what all these guys do.
Yeah,
Like
but it's
even
something that
like
happens like all the time.
even like Edge and Daniel Bryan getting the shit beat out of them at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. Even then, I'm
Mhm.
like, why is Drew Gulak, or Christian not coming out? Like, why didn't they at least
Yeah,
say, "Can you guys be in the back in case this pops off"? Why Cesaro? Yeah, because Daniel Bryan and Cesaro are a tag team. Why didn't Cesaro come out and be like, "What the fuck are you doing to the Usos?" Like, it just never made any sense. Like Cesaro's like, "Ah, it sucks for him. Oh well." You
yeah,
know?
I know. I always you're right. It happens even till this day. You
Yeah,
know.
not until Vince went away. And I don't know why he did. For some reason, he always had the baby faces be a little bit more cutthroat, like a little bit more like whatever. I'm in it. Because every now and then a baby face would call out a baby face. He'd be like, "I gotta focus on me," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, that's not a
To me,
baby."
it makes them look stupid. You know.
Yes, yes,
It makes the baby faces look more stupid, but that's just me.
yeah. Because this is my thing. It's like because if Lex helps Undertaker, say Undertaker, have my back if I win the Rumble. Like if I win the Rumble against Yoko, like we have to have each other's back. One of us has to beat Yoko. You know what I mean? We have to get rid
Yeah,
of Yoko.
and then I'll give you a title shot.
Yeah.
You'll be the first
Instead,
one. Like,
Lex is just sitting back there, like, oh, okay, well, you know. He literally, like, Yokozuna's like, this is the whole reason you turned face was to stop Yokozuna's reign of terror. You fucking idiot! Like,
yeah, I know, yeah. And it's like, like if Undertaker had never joined the team in Survivor Series, I would have bought it more. Like he's like the loner type. But it was like, dude, you're like
but even
you guys
like
are friends.
Yokozuna beat up Savage a bunch of times before King of the Ring '93. Like,
Hmm.
why did Savage just jump in the ring and like say to the ref, like, no, there was a fireball there. Like Hogan, and then like why didn't Savage like fuck this? Hogan, you see my friend. Like, it just makes no sense. Like you're just sitting there and you're letting Yokozuna destroy Hulk Hogan, and you're not like sticking up for like I don't know. It's just like yeah, it's fucking dumb. It's fucking dumb. It's fun. You know what? You know what they said to Edge when Edge said I want Gangrel to come out with me when I do the Brood entrances?
Yeah,
Nobody
they said that nobody will know who he is, right?
nobody remembers Gangrel. I don't understand. Like they have like when they don't care about something, they just you know what the Laps fan said? The Laps fan had a great point. Wrestling is the only thing you can be a fan of where they openly mock you. Where they openly like tell you how stupid you are and how dumb you are. And that's true. It's like if I go up to Vince, if me and you go to Vince, like we like to see Gangrel come out with Edge, well, nobody remembers. So, will we remember? And we're buying tickets. Well, not you, but let's pretend you are. We're buying tickets to all your fucking events. So can you have fucking Gangrel walk out? Like, is it the end of the world? Like, you have like, why do you think you're better than Gangrel? And
I would say that's only a Vince Jr. thing.
no, yeah, it's a thing in the whole company. I think it's gonna go away as time goes by.
Yeah,
'Cause-
yeah, exactly. I think it's going away, but Vince Jr. he legit, I believe he firmly thought we were all idiots.
yes, he
And
did.
you
Yes, I
could
mean,
like you're right. It would sometimes show in the product how he
well,
really
even
thought
like
of.
Ray Rougeau. I mean, Ray Rougeau. There's footage of Super where Ray Rougeau is interviewing the Quebecers. He's acting like he never met Jock before, and Jock is acting like he. And it's like Vince thinks he can tell you what reality is, but it's like, but literally a year ago, these guys were a
They're
tag team.
brothers. No, they're brothers. Like
They're brothers. Like you can't like just change reality because you can't tell me they don't know each other.
I know. Oh man, Vince McMahon was he. I would say Vince Jr. He just had. He really thought like we were idiots. Like that's
Oh
how he
yeah.
looked. things. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, look. I mean, look. I said wrestling student, never watching again, and then he lured me back, and I never stopped watching. So, like,
I guess that's why he thinks we're idiots.
yeah, he's like,
Back.
I was like
Yeah.
embarrassed, and he kept plugging along, and he found a way to get me back. But I don't know. I like this match. I like this angle. I don't know. It's not. If you honestly think this is the worst thing ever, I don't know. You're a fucking idiot. Like you're the same person who thinks Jungle Boy has more potential than CM Punk. Like you're a fucking moron if you think. Dude, you know what? Every AEW fan, I guarantee you, would shit on this and say Battle Bowl was a good show. Like if they were like there's internet fans saying Jey Uso should be getting a push.
I don't think so.
You don't think he should get a push?
His in ring is very limited.
Yeah, but like he's over right now, so let's see where he goes.
I think the amount of push he's getting right now is sufficient. Me,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah. No, they're complaining that this is already too much. I think it's fine.
I mean, he's not challenging for the world title.
Yeah,
he is.
He beat Dragunov. He's gonna fight Gunther in the King of the Ring semifinals next week.
Oh, okay. I haven't been following. Okay.
But Dragunov just showed up, and he's got to become Doink anyway.
Dragunov. Look, at number one, Dragunov just showed up. I agree with that. And Jey Uso, I believe, will lose to Gunther. So I'm okay with this because you got to have Gunther face a worthy challenger. You know?
Yeah, and Dragunov, I understand his matches. Their matches were great in NXT UK. I think you need to build to them having a really long pay-per-view match. Now they're both.
I agree.
And then you can get Dragunov over as one of your top guys. But I mean, look, Jey Uso's over with the crowd. People like him. Just make him he should be a big part of Raw. You got 3 hours anyway.
Yeah. If you're complaining that Jey Uso went to the finals over Dragunov, you're an idiot because you don't understand basic wrestling storytelling.
Yeah.
Because the finals of the King of the Ring has to be.
It's not even the finals, the semifinals.
Yeah, then you got to have a popular face go up against a heel that people don't like. That's what it is. And Dragunov just got there, so he's not really as well known as Jey. That's all it is. And like you said, you build Dragunov and a Gunther. That's something you have to really build, not just be a semifinal match at the King of the Ring. See, not everything has to be a goddamn tournament like they do in AEW. People have to understand that.
Well, this is the King of the Ring, so
exactly. This is one tournament, but not every match at the tournament needs to be like the fucking dream match. You understand? Like,
yeah.
But that's all they do in AEW. That's why most of those fans don't really know shit.
I would save Dragunov and Gunther for something special. Jey Gunther, I think that's fine for. I mean,
that's fine for King of the Ring semifinals. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like Raw's not appointed viewing. But anyway, my whole point is that this thing was fine. It's not the end of the world. It's not the worst thing by far. If you think this is the worst thing, you haven't watched a lot of wrestling. My opinion.
So if you put that Survivor Series Doink match and you put this Undertaker thing,
this is 100% better.
Yeah, 100%. This is way better. This is way better.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing to me. People were going on and on about this. Never mentioned that fucking Doink match.
Yeah, I would say the Doink match will be a standard. There's two types of standard bearers, I think, with bad matches. The Doink match,
and Abdul
because of how absurd it is, and the Carlos Colon versus Abdul the Butcher at Starrcade, because of how like unnecessarily like violent that is, or something like that. You know, like both are covering up the fact that they can't wrestle. You know,
exactly.
Just, like, blood and gore and stuff. Yeah. So those are my standards of bad matches. All right, so it's Rumble time. So just like we seen before, everybody's gonna take. This is a promo time where everybody cuts a promo. We got Macho Man saying he's gonna win. He's gonna become a 3-time champion, and he's gonna crush. My favorite part. I'm going to crush. Jeff Jarrett talks about he's going for all the marbles. Tatanka says there's no friends, only enemies in the Rumble, which is probably why he probably didn't come out and help Undertaker. Diesel says
Undertaker's not in the Rumble.
I guess, yeah. Diesel says he goes, "Champ, you're mine." Whoever the champ is. Doink and Dink, they come out and they basically say nothing. Shawn Michaels appears and he throws away the Intercontinental title and he goes, "I want to be the world champion." And Lex Luger is the final one. He says, "Finally, an opportunity he's been waiting for. It's finally here." And we're gonna go into the final match, the Royal Rumble, match number 5. I'm going to just talk about the key moments. Ray,
Yeah.
feel free to jump in whenever you want, okay? Scott Steiner and Samu of the Head Shrinkers, who was let out by his hair by Alpha, are number 1 and number 2. Which is really cool is we got the Casio countdown clock.
I thought you said Casio Kid.
Did they get like money from Casio when they did that?
They must though that they mentioned it. There's no way Vince is going to be giving Casio free plugs for Without
Yeah, I wonder if they could do that now. Like just even
they're probably going to.
Yeah, the countdown clock, even that gets sponsored.
They're monetizing everything right now.
So. Yeah. Rick Steiner is number 3. And he just walks gingerly down the aisle while his brother is almost getting eliminated.
Rick Steiner, since Survivor Series, I don't watch the weekly shows. He just seems so checked out, bro.
Yeah, Rick Steiner does seem checked out. As the clock runs down, Samu, he gets hung up on the ropes by his neck. And Kwang comes in, number 4, with Harvey Whippleman. But as Samu was getting hung on the ropes by his neck, as he frees himself, and he stands in the apron, Scott just shoves Samu off the apron for the first elimination. And then Kwang gets in the ring, and right away he green miss Rick Steiner right in the face. And he gets into it with starts getting into it with Scott Steiner. I remember you told me this? Initially, Vince Jr. wanted Rick and Scott to start fighting in the ring when it was those two.
I know they wanted to push Scott as a single star, and the original pitch that Bruce Pritchard had was Scott Steiner win the Rumble '93. He wanted Scott Steiner to win the Rumble '93. Like this new guy comes from out of nowhere, and you think he's being brought in the company as a tag team wrestler, then he wins the title shot at WrestleMania, and Vince said no to that, and then I think the contract was coming up, and they were like, we want to push Scott as singles, and they still wanted to be a tag team, and they're like, we're just going to go away to I think they went to Japan for a little bit and stuff until they went back to WCW in '96.
Okay. All right. Anyways, Owen Hart comes in number 5, and he eliminates the blinded Rick Steiner for a second elimination. So Rick's second out. Bart Gunn of the Smoking Guns comes in 6, and then he saves right away. He saves Scott Steiner from being eliminated. Diesel comes in number 7 and throws out Bart Gunn for the 3rd elimination, and then he eliminates Scott Steiner right away for the 4th elimination. Diesel then throws out Owen Hart for the 5th elimination, and then he clotheslines Kwang out the ring. Kwang is Savio Vega, right?
Yes.
All right. So Diesel, yeah.
So this is the first time they ever did this, where one guy is eliminating everybody. They make Diesel in this. This was one of the smartest things they ever did, and I remember a lot of people saying to me, "This is when they realized Kevin Nash was the real deal." This moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody in this position, their position like this, would look like the real deal. He comes in, has 4 eliminations right off the bat. He's just standing in the ring alone, waiting for the next guy. It's cool.
They never did it before in any Rumble match before.
Exactly. This is the first time they're doing this, so it's a big deal when they're doing it. And the person Diesel's waiting for is Bob Backlund, who runs down to the ring, 8th to some boos. As Backlund, what's really funny about this is those of you guys who don't know, remember, I think the previous Rumble, Bob Backlund was in there for a very long time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it made him actually look good. And when he got eliminated, people gave him an ovation and everything. Not this time. Backlund is much smaller than Kevin Nash, is really big. So he starts doing the thing where he's crawling around the ring like a dog. And even DiBiase's like, what's he doing? I thought was really funny. Backlund almost has Diesel eliminated. He gets him on the rope and almost eliminated, but then Diesel gouges his eyes, and then he dumps Bob Backlund out for the 7th elimination. Diesel is once again standing alone, and he's begging for the next guy to come down. He's like, come down. And it's Billy Gunn of the Acclaimed. He comes down 9th, and he gets tossed out right away for
good riddance. That's how he should be treated. Isn't it crazy he's treated like a bigger deal now, like 75 years old, than he was back then?
Oh, the longer you stay, the longer you stay. Kind of like, he's more enduring.
No, not to me anyway.
Yeah. While Diesel is just standing there waiting for the next person to come out, we get backstage footage of Kabuki and Tenru beating up Lex Luger in the lockers.
I like this. I like the fact that like
Horsemen.
the Rumble's happening all over the building. Like there's shit everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. I like the storyline. Like it's Mr. Fuji like doesn't like Lex Luger because he's representing Yokozuna, so he hires two Japanese hired guns. I like that.
Yeah, me too. I like that.
Yeah. Virgil comes out number 10, and we get Vince Jr. mentions that he's an alternate for Kamala. Was Kamala really supposed to be in this?
I mean, I didn't watch the weekly show. I mean, if Vince said it, then he was.
Okay. Well, Virgil gets dumped out ninth for Diesel's seventh elimination. That's right. Diesel has 7 eliminations total. Diesel at this point, he has some blood on his lip, which I think was caused from Virgil actually accidentally punching him, right?
I can see that Virgil hadn't been working there for a while when they brought him in for this.
Yeah. And I think Diesel was pissed at this because I don't know if you watched the exchange between these two, but he throws 2 really stiff forearms on Virgil before he eliminates him. And he looks genuinely annoyed that he's got blood coming.
I think, because this is supposed to be fucking his moment, and Virgil hitting him for real might make him look bad. I mean, he's supposed to be like an invincible monster, and this fucking idiot. Hey man, he should have had better match. Listen, 91 was your time. 94 is Big Daddy Cool's time, all right?
Yeah. Go back and watch it. You're gonna see Diesel when he forearms Virgil. Look how stiff it is. Both those hits. Macho Man comes down 11th to a huge
Such an ovation.
Huge ovation. Even though he's wearing pink rodeo gear, he takes the fight to Diesel. Jeff Jarrett comes down 12th, and he saves Diesel from Macho Man, but he gets eliminated right away by Macho Man for the 10th elimination. Crush is 13, and Crush and Diesel, they start double teaming Macho Man. Doink is 14, and he comes out, he starts walking out to the ring with Dink. But while this is happening, Crush eliminates Macho Man for the 11th elimination. This was so like uneventful, the elimination. Like it's coming out, it's happening while Doink's getting like walking out. It was just so weird.
Because Vince, and this is why, we're talking about all the great things they're doing on this show. This is why he was dying a slow death. It's like, and I'm not old. I'm not an old man. I'm 13 years old.
You're not even a man. You're not even a man.
I'm not even a man. We are not done with Savage and Hogan. And you are driving your company to bankruptcy, trying to convince me that we're done with Macho Man and Hogan. But here's the deal. We were done with you, Vince. And we were almost, and what Eric Bischoff said on his podcast? I really love that he said this. He said, Vince wants to say it was Ted Turner. Vince wants to say it was Turner Broad. It was CNN. No. Vince's problem was Eric Bischoff. And Vince's problem was he couldn't foresee Eric Bischoff. And that's and I'm tired of Vince going Ted. Ted knew nothing. It was everything I did that almost fucked Vince. And he was right. Vince didn't see Eric Bischoff coming. And he almost lost everything. And because he was literally handing these guys to Bischoff. Macho Man should have been treated like this. That was the moment when it happened. I'm enjoying the show, but I'm like, you are so and I say this every episode, but you are so fucking up the way you're treating this guy. You don't even know. Your daughter's gonna get impregnated. You're gonna go, and you're almost gonna go out of business. Can you imagine? You know what I realized? If they just gave Steve Austin a push, Vince right now would have no money. If Hogan said to Bischoff, I think we should give this guy Steve Austin a push and keep him around. I'd like for him to be like my top opponent. Don't fire him. Vince would be out of business. If they
I agree with that, actually, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like that's how close and lucky this fucking guy became.
A lot of this man was luck.
But the Austin thing, the fact that Bischoff didn't believe, that was the biggest mistake he ever made. The fact he didn't believe in Steve Austin. And we're going to get to a moment in 94 when things are going well. and I'm when we get, I'm not gonna tell you what the moment is, but when we get to it, I'm gonna say this they lost in this moment, WCW, and they didn't know it at the time. They already lost, even though they're gonna go on to like have the biggest success they ever had. There's one moment in '94 where they just they have sealed their doom in that one moment.
All right, we'll continue with the Rumble. The Doink is in there now, and he
Oh,
stays in the corner, and he's just watching Diesel and Crush fight.
this
When
was
when
another hard
finally
moment.
Diesel and Crush, they notice Doink in the corner, and they're just like, you know what the fuck? Why are we fighting? Let's get this guy. And Doink starts spraying them with water from his flower, and he stomps on Diesel's foot, and he pokes Crush in the eyes. But then they just double team on Doink, and then Bam Bam Bigelow comes in with Luna Vachon for the 15th entry, and it's basically all of Doink's enemies are in there all at once, you know?
Mhm.
And they invite Bam Bam Bigelow, and then they go, hey, come on in, Bam Bam. And we know you got problems with Doink in the past, and Bam Bam just gorilla presses Doink hard out
Mhm.
the ring from the fucking over the top rope to the floor for the 12th elimination.
Doink is dead in the water.
By
It's
the way, I
still
don't think, wait, what were you saying? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Doink is dead in the water. It's not the same, but man, like that's another idea that could have made him millions. He's just taking a fucking dump on. They just, I
Yeah.
know this guy wasn't as good as Doink, but then don't have Doink anymore. But man, they just make Doink like a fucking idiot. I was like, well, that's it. It's over. It's over.
That spot is always something that I would never want to take if I was a wrestler. Like, hey, I'm gonna gorilla press you over the top rope and you have to fall way down. Like, I'd be like, no, I don't
But
want to do that.
I
Would you
didn't
ever
know.
take that as a wrestler? That's a really high fall onto
No, but I
concrete.
think that they're doing it to haze this new Doink. Like they're doing it to fuck with him.
Uh,
I also kind of think like I didn't know there was a new Doink. No one knew. And
I
like the
didn't
fact
know.
what?
I didn't know.
Yeah, the fact that like you're already shitting on him, like the audience can tell like, oh, this Doink experiment's over. Like Doink's gonna be a joke from now on. And yeah, you just kind of killed like two money acts in one and two big money acts. I think bigger than anyone that you're pushing right now. And yeah, these are the two little lights of the Rumble, but then it keeps going.
So Mabel comes with Oscar for the 16th entry, and we get a whoop whoop there it is chant. So even in 1994, this song is still going strong.
Whoop, there it is. We got to bring it back. AEW's got to bring it. Whoop, there it is.
Yeah, they
Eddie
should.
Kingston should bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. The crowd is excited because he as Mabel comes in, he goes toe to toe with Diesel, and
Mhm.
it's like these two big guys. So the fans are really into it. Mabel squashes Diesel in the corner, and then he squashes Crush in the corner, and then he squashes Bam Bam Bigelow. Cool spot. Sparky Plug. Bob Holly comes in 17, followed by Shawn Michaels at 18. And as soon as Shawn Michaels comes into the ring, he runs right into his bodyguard Diesel. And Shawn first Diesel like isn't intimidating. He's like kind of intimidating to Shawn Michaels, but they're eventually able to shake hands. But as they're shaking hands, Diesel gets attacked from behind as Shawn Michaels just stands there and watches as his bodyguard Diesel gets dumped out of the ring by Mabel, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Crush for a 13th elimination. Fans chant for Diesel as he goes to the back. What is that? Sticking up your nose.
Oh, sorry, it's Deadpool, Deathstroke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man, they got Diesel over, and you know what? I got to give credit to Kevin Nash. He knew this was his moment, and he made it count, and he made himself a star.
And I like the storyline they were already implementing. Putting into this where Shawn Michaels is like
Mhm.
not trying to be loyal to his bodyguard,
Yep.
right? Mo from Men on a Mission comes in 19th, followed by Greg the Hammer Valentine, who comes in 20th, who also comes out to some cheers. And he starts doing some loud chop. He gets a
They
loud
miss
chop
the
from
old
Mabel.
guys. The fans still miss the old guys.
Yeah, yeah. Greg the Hammer was really popular, which is weird because he was never positioned as a top guy. You know?
I think a lot of them. Listen, if I'm feeling this way and I'm 12 and 13, like this is no longer the company I grew up on. I guarantee you, people older than me are feeling the same way. They're like, we weren't done with that crew. The 90, you notice like the 91 crew is almost completely gone. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole different crew. We weren't done. I want to see fucking Typhoon take on the Bushwhackers, motherfucker. The fuck is this Diesel shit?
Tatanka comes in 21st, and he goes straight for Shawn Michaels. Kabuki comes out to 22nd to a lot of boos. Everyone works together, and they eliminate Mabel for the 14th elimination as Mo just lays around being completely useless to his tag team partner.
And that's his entire career. So
Yeah, that's a sign of great. He was really, you know what I noticed about Mo in this match? He was really fat. He was so out of shape. He had a
you
huge
know,
belly.
you know what it is about. You know what it is about. Mabel was not as bad as the workers people say. He could move for a guy his size. Like he was not. He
Yeah,
was actually the. This is the scary part. Mabel was the workhorse in Men on a Mission.
yeah, I know. He really was. But that's why he kept coming back to the company.
I mean, he's doing. I mean, I've been falling asleep to the ECWs from the late 2000s. He's doing some like high flying moves on CM Punk, which like a guy his size
Yeah,
should be able to do. In
yeah, I'm a
2008,
fan of this guy. I liked all versions of him. Viscera, the Big
I
Daddy
think
V.
I think if they put Big Daddy V in a better outfit, he would have gotten over, brother.
Yeah, I think so. Lex Luger, he runs down for the 23rd entry, and he tosses Kabuki out for the 15th elimination. Tenru walks out the 24th entry, and he targets Lex Luger right away with multiple chops. Nobody comes out for the 25th entry, and Vince Jr. speculates that it must have been Bret Hart, but his dream is over. So,
So Hulk Hogan should come out.
however, after all the entries happened, Junior does explain. Actually, 25 was Bastion Booger, who had gotten sick from food poisoning. He does mention that later on. All right. This was actually not true. This is all it's all kayfabe. Basically, what happened was supposedly they did this to put like they like supposedly like it when somebody doesn't show up. Like that's like a Vince thing. He just likes when there's an entry and nobody comes out.
That's weird.
Yeah, because he said it adds intrigue. It's stupid. It's to me, it's dumb as fuck, but that's what he does.
That's why they're playing high school gyms in 3 months. Okay.
Yeah. Rick Martel comes out 26th, and Vince Jr. and DiBiase talks about Martel's stamina, and they were like, "Hey, remember that one Rumble where he came out like he was in the Rumble for a very, very long time? Like, and
You know what?
hey, we got
You know what's crazy? I don't mean to interrupt. You know what's crazy to me?
no,
Like
sorry.
1991 feels like 100 years ago in 1994. Like it feels like ancient times. But meanwhile, like 2021 feels like yesterday. Like right now, like we're sitting in 2024. Like
Mm,
it's crazy. Like how fast they turned over everybody from 91 to 94.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. Um, Brett limps out for the 27th entry, and DiBiase calls him stupid for risking his career to be in this Rumble. Fatu comes out 28th as the ring is like filling up. There's not
Yeah,
any
the second half
nobody's
of this
getting
match kind of
eliminated.
drags.
Yeah. But this is like, once you know what I was like about the Rumble is like when your ring starts really filling up, that's when you know someone's gonna like when you first notice, hey, the ring's really filling up, that's when you know the eliminations are gonna start coming out like one at a time. Boom, boom, boom. And that's what we get. Crush gets eliminated 16th by Sparky Plug, Bam Bam Bigelow, Brett, and Lex Luger all working together. Marty Jannetty comes out 29th, and he goes straight for Shawn Michaels, and they trade punches and kicks, which the fans are into. Aaron Bomb comes out for the 30th entry. But as this is happening, Brett dumps Sparky Plug out 17th, saving Shawn Michaels, who will later return the favor by screwing over Bret Hart at Montreal.
Good.
After a long period of nothing happening, Rick Martel, he takes Greg the Hammer Valentine out for the 18th elimination, but he gets an ovation from the fans. And like the fans really love and respect Greg Valentine. I don't know if you remember this back in like I think it was 2004 something during his Hall of Fame induction. You know how like they would come out at WrestleMania and they would wave to the crowd. He
Yeah.
got like a huge ovation, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because he was always at the Garden every month. He's a very underrated guy. He's a very
Yeah,
underrated.
he's a very underrated guy, right? Right? Like he's never been like ever like a world title contender, but like he is somebody who fans just like really respect and like.
During the Hogan era, the expansion era, he's a guy put him in the card with Tito, put him in the card with maybe Macho Man when he was a face, Warrior, Beefcake, fucking Santana. give him 20 minutes. He's gonna put on a great show, and now you have 20 minutes that you're taking care of on one of these house shows. You know, especially when they're running like 29 a fucking day and shit. You know.
Now, Rick Martel, he goes over the top rope for the 19 elimination due to Tatanka. Adam Bomb charges at Lex Luger, who ducks, and Bomb goes over the top rope for the 20th elimination.
Out of here.
I'm sorry?
I said, get him out of here.
Yeah, Fatu super kicks Mo out for the 21st elimination. Nobody acknowledges it. Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Bam Bam Bigelow tosses out Tatanka for the 22nd elimination. But then Bammer, he gets on the apron, and Lex Luger takes out Bam Bam Bigelow for the 23rd elimination. Shawn Michaels head scissors Marty Jannetty out for the 24th elimination. And Lex and Bret, they team up, and they both dump out Genichiro Tenryu for the 25th elimination.
Get back to New Japan, you bozo.
By the way, he's a legend in Japan. He was somebody who was wrestling even into his 50s. I remember watching Tenryu wrestle. I think Tenryu wrestled Okada during his reign, early parts.
Maybe he can wrestle him again on Collision for 5 people.
Maybe he can. Yeah. So we're down to our final 4, which are Bret Hart, Lex Luger, Shawn Michaels, and Fatu of the Head Shrinkers. I always like these final 4s when there's a random tag team guy in the final 4.
Well, you know what? I don't know how it is now, but they always said there's a significance to who the final 4 is.
But Brian Knobbs was in the final 4 in 1991.
I know, but I think it's an if you're in the final 4, Vince kind of respects you. So I guess
he see that. Yeah.
I guess but listen, Fatu stayed. Look, Fatu didn't mean he stays in the company for another 10 years and consistently gets pushed. And Shawn Michaels becomes, the greatest and is running NXT. And Lex Luger, gets to kill Miss Elizabeth. So everyone got something,
And And Fatu, I would always say from the Head Shrinkers, he was the better of the two. Always.
Yeah, I feel like there is I feel like if when Vince was around there, if you were, even if you don't make it to the last 2, but if you're just in the final 4, I think that says something of how he sees you, whether or not you're getting a push or not.
It means at least he likes you.
Yeah. See, so that I would say that with Brian Knobbs, he clearly, in a way, saw something at the time in Brian Knobbs. Maybe he realized he was wrong months later, but I don't know.
Yeah. So these final 4, they do a cool spot where Lex Luger, he Irish whips Fatu while Bret is doing the same whip to Shawn Michaels, and they're trying to whip Shawn Michaels and Fatu into each other. But instead of colliding, the heels evade and they charge at the opposing faces. So Shawn Michaels into Lex Luger and Fatu into Bret. But both Bret and Lex, they both body drop Fatu and Shawn Michaels out for the 26th and 27th elimination. I thought it was done very well. Mm-hmm. So we're down to just Bret and Lex left in the ring. And they start going for a slugfest, and they start grappling right into the ropes. And they both go over the top rope at the same time. Joey Marella, the late Joey Marella, and Earl Hebner are the referees. And they start arguing about who they think hit the floor first. They start playing Lex's music, and you see Earl arguing, going over to Finkel and arguing with him. So they stop playing Lex's music, and Lex is confused in the ring. He's like, "Hey, you guys play my music. Why'd you stop?" And then they play Bret's music as Bret was hobbling on his way out. And he goes, "No, that's right. I did win." And he goes back into the ring, but they stop playing his music. And Joey Marella and Earl are just arguing, and everyone is confused. So Jack Tunney, the president, he comes down. It means big business when he comes down. They show you 3 replays of what happened, and they're all terrible angles. And after just a long, drawn-out period, Howard Finkel announces that both winners, which gets a lot of boos. Lex and Bret, they shake hands, which gets some cheers. And after the montage, Vince Jr. shows us one more replay, but it's the same fucking replay. They don't really show you anything. And that's how the show ends. What do you think about this finish where Bret and Lex go over the top together?
Hated it as a kid. I heard about it, and I thought it was the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard. I watched it. I think it's dumb now. The end results of it lead to great things for Owen. I mean, the guy who benefits from this finish is Owen, because Bret wrestles Owen in the beginning, and like basically I think they have one of the best matches in '94. I actually like it better than the ladder match, the Owen-Bret match, at WrestleMania. So Owen benefits from this finish greatly, but I think it was fucking stupid. I think it was fucking dumb. Pick a lane. I don't think it did any. I don't think it did either guy any favors. I think the crowd left annoyed. Um,
Yeah,
I think
there were some boos when they announced both winners. Yeah.
yeah, like pick a lane, and you know, I think the excitement was that we're gonna see who the WWE goes with, and there could have been a better way to do this, and I think it was horrendous. I never liked it. In watching it in action, it just seems dumb. It just seems like Vince doesn't know what he wants to do. That's what it seems like. It doesn't seem like, ooh, this is intriguing, and the fact that they don't show the feet, they don't really show a good view of their feet.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make it like, oh, no one, like, no, we know that you fucked this up. We know that you, like, it just was, and even like the fact that Lex couldn't just like easily throw out Brad after everything he went through. I don't know. It just is like you're doing damage to both guys. You're not helping them. You're doing damage to them, and you're making people were not watching. You're watching. They're doing really bad, and you're convincing people not to watch, and you're telling these people who are red hot all night long to maybe not come back next time because they got a shitty finish.
Yeah, it was definitely I remember when I was hearing about it, I as a kid, I thought it was kind of cool, but when I'm actually watching it now, that was really dumb. They should have just stuck with one guy, 100%.
Yeah, yeah,
Remember,
maybe.
I didn't think it was cool. I thought it was intriguing when I was a kid. Not just different.
You know what
Intriguing.
I would have done? Bret Hart gets eliminated, but the refs don't see it. So Bret Hart gets back in the ring and throws out Lex. And then they like,
No, I don't think they should. That would have made him look like a heel.
I'm trying to think of maybe Yokozuna costs Lex to get eliminated, and then like they're like, all right, so Lex will get the match with Yoko first, and then you'll fight Owen because Bret's like, I want Owen now. Fuck this, right? Like, and then the winner of that, maybe that I would do that. Like, it's not fair. Like Bret and Bret's like, I don't want to win like that. I didn't know Yokozuna came in. You know what I mean? I don't want to win like that. Lex deserves another shot. He's worked so hard. Like, and then it's like, all right, you know what? We'll work together. I'll take Owen, you take Yoko, right? And then if hopefully we both win, and we'll fight each other in the main event. And then honestly, I would have had Lex and Brett in the main event. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think he fucked it up from the very beginning of like making Lex Luger this like all American thing,
Yeah,
and it just like because when Lex body slammed Yoko, it was like that right there was so good, and he fucked it up immediately with this
yeah.
made in the USA shit.
I mean, so it's dead in the water in SummerSlam, but like, there's still a chance. There's still a chance you can fix it. Like, if Lex wins the Rumble, you can still kind of fix it. And even if Brett wins the Rumble, I think you can still fix it, right? But like the way they did it, it just you ruined. Like, Lex was ruined after this. Like, especially and then what happens at WrestleMania? Forget about it. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But overall, I like the show. I like the Rumble. But my main thing was I thought the Rumble had one of the worst finishes I've ever. Definitely the worst Rumble finish we've seen yet.
Yeah, I would say while it's not a terrible show, you don't need if you don't watch it, you're not really missing it.
No, but if you like want to watch this era, if you're like if for some reason this is your favorite year, I would say yeah, put it on.
I would say it's what the one thing that's kind of worth watching is probably that Undertaker casket thing.
And the Bret Hart Owen stuff, definitely.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So that's like a good portion of the show. So like all in all, you know.
but I would say when I say you can watch that, not even the match, just like that those moments.
Yeah,
Those
I'm
clips.
sure that's on YouTube.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, let's review the next 4 weeks. Next week, Super Bowl 4. Ric Flair versus Vader cage match. 2 weeks, WrestleMania 10, Yoko versus Brett. 3 weeks, Spring Stampede 94, Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat. And 4 weeks, Slamboree 94 with Vader versus Sting. What are you excited for?
I don't want to watch Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat again.
Yeah, I want to see that, and I want to see Sting versus Vader again. That's their last pay-per-view match, so we got to enjoy it while we can. Wouldn't it have been great if Vader was still alive and they fought in AEW? That would have been great.
That would have been great. That really would have been great, actually. Yeah, you're right.
That's a moment.
Even if like not like a match, but he just comes in like for a cameo, you know?
Or he helps Sting, like he helps
Yeah,
Sting.
you know what? No, he comes in and you think he's going to attack Sting, but he helps Sting.
He
You
helps Sting.
know?
Oh my god.
Yeah, that would have been actually, dude. That would have been so dope. Actually, that would have.
But like, well, how about this? Like he comes to help Sting in like 99 or 2000, like in WCW. Like he helps Sting. Like he saves Sting from Vampiro. I think people would have went nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't rehire him after he got fired from WWF. If Vader in '99 WC, we'll talk about it next week. But man, fucking Vader, no one appreciated him, and no one appreciated the bond him and Sting had. All right. Anyway, if you like this, podcast, go fuck yourself. No, listen, hey, subscribe to us on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. And you know what? We have a Patreon, Ray Goots Comedy. Just give us $1, so we can buy some hot dogs in New Jersey. And then yeah, shit, bro. And then I have a TikTok, Ray Goots Comedy, and also Ray Goots on Instagram. I'm trying to grow the Instagram, guys. I gotta prove a point to some of the haters out there. So come on, all you gotta do is hit follow.
Good
All
point.
you gotta do to silence the haters is get on your phone and hit follow. It's not hard, right?
Yeah.
And Andrew Sunnelly,
So,
follow him too so he can silence his haters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. All right,
All
guys.
right.
We got to go deal with the haters. We'll talk to you next week when it's Super Bowl.